Jim Carrick-Birtwell, the Chief Executive of Changeboard. It's a media business with a real focus on the HR communities around the world that we work with, but particularly on the future of work and some of the themes around that. And we've been working and proudly collaborating with ASHRM for about 5 years now, supporting them with content, and for the last 3 years with their ASHRM conference. We work really closely with the ASHRM board, the trustees, discussing future of work seems to be the recurrent theme, but which particular aspects of that did we want to focus on? And the theme of smart workforce, frankly, can be interpreted in lots of different ways. But what we were really interested in is looking at the skills that you need for this smart workforce in the future. And some of the things that we looked at were, for example, well-being. And we looked really closely in 2 of the sessions with Jeff McDonald and Alistair Campbell yesterday on mental ill health. And that's a subject which knows no boundaries geographically, so it's as prevalent here as it is in Europe or the States or Asia. There's less stigma attached to it now in the UK, although we're still very much in the foothills. In the GCC, it's more of a taboo. But I think the level of honesty from 2 very charismatic and, let's face it, powerful male individuals in Jeff and Alistair, I think really touched and moved people. And actually that's what these conferences are about. If people are going to commit time to spend, listening, learning, if it's something they could learn from a textbook, then go read a textbook or read online. If you're going to be there in person, then it's not just about teaching people, it's about moving people. And the number of people that came up afterwards and said, I wish my father had heard that. Or as an HR director, this has given me the impetus to really make some changes around creating a supportive environment. That's immensely powerful and very rewarding if you're involved in producing something like that. I mean, other themes, diversity, inclusion, how do we get young people into the workforce? How do we get women into the workforce? How do we understand the digital skills that we're going to need? What are the qualities? There was lots of talk today about the 100-year life from Andrew Scott and Tina Schneiderlin. Everything's in play, if you like. There's a lot of disruptions. And I think what that's done is made everybody much more open to think and explore. The future, I think, as somebody said, it's not about predictions, it's about choices. And if there's one thing that came out of the last 3 days, there's almost a sort of a mind-boggling array of choices that we have, and that's exciting. I mean, Chris is a superstar, and I make no secret of my kind of admiration of Chris. And I've had the pleasure of working with him on a number of events. But he is, on the one hand, a seriously smart individual, and he's working with the Lord's Select Committee on Artificial Intelligence, which has been exploring the kind of economic, social and cultural impacts of AI, and they're reporting back on that shortly. And I think what he shared from that is that it's going to impact every element of our lives. We need to be thinking about how we assimilate human skills and people skills and humanity with the capabilities that technology provide. So digital skills is a version of inclusion, and we need to, there's a thing that came across, there's no area of life, let alone work, that is going to escape from that. But when he moved and talked about disruptions in his personal life and going blind overnight at the age of 14, and he didn't actually mention it in his speech today, but he then went on with his studies. He got into Cambridge, he got a really good degree. He's now working with some of the smartest minds in Britain on some of the cutting edge thinking around technology, but also as a Paralympian, not only to have carried on swimming, but to get 9 gold medals and bucketfuls of other medals, and then up that by being involved in organising the Paralympics in London in 2012 and not just making it a success, but putting the Paralympics alongside the Olympics as an enormous global event for viewers in person. The Olympics in London was packed out at every Paralympic event, but also commercially and also globally as a sort of an entertainment and an inspirational event. Has, I think, transformed the way that people view people with disabilities, people that have differences, and that's really inspiring. And I think lots of people were moved by that. Well, there's been a tremendous progression in the ASHRM conferences. I wasn't involved very much in the 2014 event, great event that it was, but then we got involved and then it's become an annual event. And if we look at the last three, I think there's a confidence in the hunger for not just learning but digesting the sort of information around the world of work and the future of work. I think the live format with inspiring speakers from the region and around the world really resonates very powerfully and acts as activation events. So they're not just one-offs, but then the content that we've been producing with ASHRM and the HR community across the GCC is very powerful. I think carrying on those things, so doing events, increasing the frequency of events. So we also hosted or supported ASHRM hosting a roundtable with London Business School yesterday afternoon with about 35 of the most senior HR directors that attended. And the opportunity for them to have table discussions, some thought leadership and learn from one another, again, is in microcosm is an example of what ASHRM can achieve. So I think doing other events in the region, a passion of mine is education to employment, and if we could do events that were particularly focused on young people and the skills that they need, I think that would resonate very powerfully with employers, but also would provide some fantastic insights for educators and of course for young people and also their parents. So they've got all the ingredients to become a major part of the transformations in the region. I'd like to say a big thank you to the ASHRM Board of Trustees and to Abdulhadi Mansouri for putting on an amazing conference. And it's been an absolute pleasure to work with them and to support. But I think the level of ambition that they have and the level of support that they have for really progressive, inspiring agendas in the region, I think that's what sets ASHRM apart. It's been a real pleasure working with them, and I really look forward to future events.